Treasurer, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes,
Present.
Mrs. Gerken,
Here.
Mrs. Barwig,
Here.
Mr. Vasquez,
Here.
Mr. Parker.
Here.
Thank you. Now I'd like to request a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Now we will move to section 2, which I will what? Yep, sorry. Now we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, excuse me, I just skipped over that one, by Edgewater Elementary. If you'd like to participate, please rise. Yes, what an amazing job. Thank you, Edgewater Elementary, for saying our Pledge of Allegiance, mission and vision. I think they gave you a run for your money, Dr. Durant. Now we will turn it over to Ms. Patty Mazur for our presentation.
Good evening and thank you. I have the honor here tonight to introduce a recent graduate. So we are continuing the celebration for the class of 2023. And tonight I have the privilege of congratulating Mr. Robert Ferris. He went back to school to earn his diploma to show his children that it's never too late to chase your dreams and that you can overcome any obstacle as long as you keep trying. Robert is now a graduate of Jessup W. Scott High School, and he is here tonight to shake Dr. Durant's hand and to shake hands with the Board of Education. Robert, please come forward.
We're going to give flowers to an individual, a light in our community that has serviced our aging adults for 49 years. Billie Johnson retired last week, and the program that she has built within TPS with TPS partnerships to give our foster parents program has serviced this year alone over 200 students, and we could not have had that assistance with partnership and love and pouring into our classrooms for our little ones without the leadership of Billie Johnson. So we have created a resolution in her honor of her retirement and her hard work for older adults in Lucas County, or Northwest Ohio, excuse me. And we will be presenting that with her, but I just wanted to take this time to give her some roses. So if you would like board members to share something, a memory, or just words, you may do so now.
Sure. You know what? I know Miss Johnson's daughter, Rhonda Sewell, very, very well. Have worked with her at the library. And I would always tell Rhonda, I am amazed by her mother and the commitment that she's had to this community over the years. I consider our community blessed to have had her in her leadership role. She was meant to be in that spot. And certainly TPS is grateful for what she has brought to the table.
Thank you.
I'm just glad that as a board, we're able to add our list of congratulations to the stacks and stacks and stacks of celebrations of Ms. Johnson's service to the community during her leadership on the Area Office on Aging. She has really achieved a lot, and she deserves all the recognition that she's been getting from the community at large. There's another little program within the Area Office on Aging on top of everything else that they do that I have been working with, and that's the Kinship Navigator program. And that program is so important in our community. There are so many family members, grandparents, and aunties who are raising children, and whether it's figuring out how to get them appropriately enrolled in school to getting appropriate services and supports. She has a small but mighty little corner of her organization committed to the Kinship Navigator program. And I really hope that that program continues to flourish under the new leadership at the Area Office on Aging. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I think it's awesome that we're able to give her flowers where she can see them and offer the words of appreciation where she can hear them. And so we're thankful not just for her partnership and impact with TPS, but throughout our community. And we salute and celebrate her. Thank you, Madam President.
Dr. Durant, would you like to say a word?
Yeah, during that time, she allowed videos and gave appreciation. Like I tell people all the time with the senior prom, probably the best kept secret. I mean, we had seniors from all over Northwest Ohio and Michigan coming to this event. It sold out within hours each year. And one of the highlights of it is that the kids who were seniors in high school said that the prom with senior citizens was better than their own senior prom as well. So just kudos and a testament to all the things that she had brought into this district.
Madam President, I've worked with Ms. Johnson for many, many years. I'm actually one of her constituents at this time. So I appreciate everything she's done.
I just want to thank Ms. Johnson for taking up space. If you heard the journey of starting, I believe, with 4 individuals who were volunteers and how much it grew in the 49 years under her leadership, and the services she provides for those who are unable to get out the house and interact, and seeing and hearing and advocating, and know it's from love. I just love the fact that she is so humble and so gracious, but yet a fighter. I have a lot to learn from her, and I'm looking to continue to grow with her as a role model. So with that being said, I would like to request a motion to approve the resolution to honor the service of Miss Billie Johnson.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
and Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Ms. Mazur.
Now I would like to congratulate the retirees for this month. We have Norma Hernandez, accounting specialist. She is retiring with 26 years and 2 months of service. Michelle A. Johnson, first grade teacher at Larchmont, retiring with 27 years of service. Carol Grzinski, miscellaneous laborer, 27 years and 9 months of service. Terry Seward, mail clerk, 29 years, 6 months of service. And Kathleen Miller, miscellaneous laborer, retiring with 34 years, 6 months of service, for a total of 145 years and 3 months of service to Toledo Public Schools.
Thank you and congratulations on your retirement. We cannot do this or any of this without you, and we hope that you have an amazing retirement. Now we'll move on to section 4, which is our organizational input. I do not see any of our org's representation in the room, so we'll go on to move to actually section 5, which is comments by the board. Board Member Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam President. I think that one of the most exciting things for me was watching our graduates who did not give up and valued that diploma from Toledo Public Schools. And I think it is one of the things, and I think everybody would agree, that makes us TPS proud. You know, in my educational journey after I graduated, in and out of school, it's not an easy thing to do, to pursue and persist in your education. So lots of congratulations.
Board Member Grace.
Thank you. Well, first, I want to thank the Edgewater students for their beautiful rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. It always brings a smile to my face to see our students participate in our board meeting, even if it's via, video. I mean, they're darling, right? They're just darling. So I love it. And the mission and vision, they'll have to learn something new, right? Pretty soon, hopefully. Second, congratulations to Robert Ferris. I know that they've stepped out already, but the determination to be able to complete that degree after you've gone through high school and not able to walk with your class, that perseverance is something to be admired. And I'm so glad that he was here tonight so we could celebrate with him. So congratulations. And again, our community is blessed with Billie Johnson. She has been such a mentor to so many, and I'm grateful for that. And then to our retirees, 145 years, oh my goodness. Again, we cannot do what we're doing without the staff in this district. Our students, our families, we certainly rely on, what they bring to the table each and every day. So thank you, and congratulations on the retirement. But, we're probably hiring again, so come on back. And then one more thing, the graduation ceremonies, we always look forward to, that first day of kindergarten, but then when we get to the ceremonial walk across the stage with our graduates, just the smiles that we see and the tears from the parents, and they've made it. I walked out with one of the moms over at Woodward, and she just tears flowing, and she goes, he was my baby, and I'm like, and you know what, you got him here. So congratulations to our parents as well for getting them to that point. It's not easy. So it was a great graduation ceremonies that I was a part of, and I've heard from the others as well. So that's all.
Thank you, Board Member Gerken.
Seeing a young graduate who needed a little extra time, a little extra opportunity to get that diploma reminded me that I didn't actually graduate exactly when I was supposed to, but back then they had something called night school. So I had to just take a quick night school class, and everything was okay. But what it really reminds me of is all I had to keep track of was credits back then. And now to get a high school diploma, we have to keep track of any number of high stakes tests and how and scores or points or industry credentials. And I believe it was 4 out of 5 years in a row they changed the requirements for graduation. And I believe that maybe our 9th graders and 10th graders are the first 2 consecutive classes with the same graduation requirements right now. And I'm hoping that Mr. Galt will fact check me on this. But my point is that I'm not even sure 9th and 10th graders know the route to graduation, because it has changed so many times from the state. And I'm just going to ask administration to step up that the informational sessions necessary. I don't know if we need, visuals or lessons or something day in and day out, week in and week out, until we are certain that the 9th and 10th graders actually know what their route to graduation is. Because once they get behind in credits, it's pretty rough to catch up, but it's not even enough just to keep track of credits these days, as we know. So again, the state has made things much harder than they need to be, and taking a lot of the trust out of local educational agencies to see to the adequacy of education for our young people. So I'm going to bring it up again in curriculum committee, the idea that we need to make sure that our young people know their route to graduation so that we don't continue to put them in peril for getting out on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Madam President. To my fellow board members, again, excited to see Edgewater Elementary. That put a definite big smile on my face, seeing their presentation, and to Mr. Robert Ferris, who, again, I would love when we have presentations for us to give them their words while they're in our faces. But hopefully he'll watch maybe a replay of this and let them know how much we appreciate his determination to succeed. Very excited for him. And then again, to honor Mrs. Billie Johnson, just the impact that she has, not just in our community, but I believe throughout the world. And her daughter, Rhonda, is a testimony of her mother. And so grateful for that. Finally, because of course, I'm not long-winded at all, but graduation was very special for me this year. I had the opportunity to hand the diplomas to my son and my daughter from Boundary who graduated. And I thought about it and was just thinking about how we really, from Glenwood Elementary School to graduation, have been absolutely TPS proud. And we made stops at Jones Leadership Academy, TTA, but all of my children have graduated from TPS, and we're the better because of this district. I can say that as a parent. I can say that as a product of TPS, that our district is what matters to me. And so really excited. It's still adjusting. I don't see my twins outside of the Ring app when they come in and when they go out. But nevertheless, we're adjusting and excited for their lives. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I think I've heard everyone say determination is the thing tonight. And even when students from Edgewater was reciting the mission and vision, they were determined to get that right, to get through it. And I think this moment, what we need is to embrace determination, that we will be on the right side of justice. We will be on the right side of equity. And I've been recently inspired. I'm very gracious for the support of my circle to have been invited to the White House by the president and Dr. Joe Biden to show our determination to not be erased as the LGBT community, honestly in education, and to be around with leaders from across the country who are fighting for our babies, and all our babies, not just the LGBT babies, all our babies, to have a high quality education was very inspirational. And to see and hear people recognizing the hard work that TPS is doing to see all of our children and their families and our communities was very inspirational and motivating, and it did kind of give me a chip on my shoulder, like I am the board president, you know. But it's just a true statement to what we're doing here. We're constantly going to be fighting to make sure we have welcoming and affirming spaces for all. And we're going to keep pushing back on any hate and harm that any individual think they could do with a title, especially against youth. And with that being said, one thing that resonates for me during this Pride Month, Happy Pride Month, is determination that we will win. We will be seen and heard, and we will keep giving high quality education to all our students, and we will be determined to make sure our staff is protected when they teach the truth. So with that being said, I will move on to section 6, which is our consent agenda. Agenda items 6.01 through 6.40 are the consent agenda items. Board members may request to pull an item from the consent agenda and move to the discussion section of the agenda. 6.01 through 6.04 is Human Resources, Staff Development, and Training Committee. Chair, Board Member Gergen, Co-Chair, Board Member Barnes. President Barnes. I gotta get used to that still. Item 6.05 through 6.71, Finance and Business Operation Committee. Chair, Board Member Vasquez. Co-Chair, Board Member Barwick. Item 6.18 is Technology Improvements and Process Committee. There was no meeting this month. Chair is Board Member Gerken. Co-Chair is Vice President Parker. Item 6.19 through 6.21, Board Curriculum Instructions and Academy Excellence. Chair, Board Member Gerken. Co-Chair, Board Member Barwick. Item 6.22 through 6.35, Policy Committee. Chair, Board Member Vasquez, and myself as co-chair. Item 6.36, our Athletics and Student Activities Committee. No action items this month. Chair, Board Member Barwick. Co-chair, Vice President Parker. Item 6.37 through 6.38, Family and Community Engagement Committee. Chair, Board Member Vasquez. Co-chair, Vice President Parker. Item 6.39 through 6.40, approval of the board minutes. I would like to request a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwick,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. Section 7 of the agenda consists of reports and minutes from this month's committee meetings. I do want to let everyone know and be a reminder that all the committee meetings are open to the public. These meetings minutes are here for your information and reference. No action items is required, so we can proceed to section 8 of the agenda, which is our discussion items. And tonight we have the instructional section. I would like to request a motion to approve the June 27, 2023 instructional section, excuse me.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwick,
Abstain.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we will go to 8.02, which is our resolution for CE and PI levy renewal, 5 years for November 2023 election. I would like to request a motion.
So moved. I'll second that.
Thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwick,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. 8.04 resolution is for CE levy renewal, 5 years, November 2023 election. I would like to request a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwick,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. And I would like to now move on to our next session, which is a resolution in celebration of Pride Month and an affirming a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I will be reading that out loud, so bear with me. A resolution in celebration of Pride Month and affirming a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Whereas the Board of Education of Toledo City School District, the board, is committed to providing a safe, inclusive, and supportive learning environment for all students, regardless of their race, color, religion, nationality, origin, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, and any other characteristics protected by law. Whereas June is recognized as Pride Month to celebrate the LGBTQ plus community and to recognize the contributions that LGBTQ plus individuals have made in promoting equal rights and improving our society. Whereas the board recognizes and value diversity and uniqueness of its student body and believes that all students should be treated with dignity and respect, free from discrimination, harassment, and bullying. Whereas research have shown that the LGBTQ plus students are at higher risk for experiencing bullying, harassment, and discrimination, which can negatively affect their mental health, academic achievement, and overall well-being. Whereas the board acknowledged the importance of celebrating LGBTQ plus students and their families, as well as fostering a culture of understanding, acceptance, and inclusivity within our schools and community. Whereas board policy ACA-R and JFB-R states that the student voice initiative known as SMARTS was created as a way for students' voices to be heard and considered, included those that would be traditionally underrepresented. This includes, but is not limited to, students with disabilities, students of color, and students that identify within the LGBT community. Whereas the district leadership and the board recognize SMARTS as a student group with a value, voice, and opinion that represents the student body of their respective high schools and learning community. This work aligns with the vision, mission, and strategic goals of the district. Whereas the Ohio legislature has introduced numerous pieces of legislation that attacks the LGBTQ plus students by removing protections and creating barriers for students seeking mental health support. Whereas the board has adopted resolution opposing these pieces of legislation and said that its intent to reject all legislation that devalues LGBTQ plus students and promotes fear, intolerance, and hate. Whereas the board celebrates Pride Month by reaffirming its commitment to support policies and practices that honor and respect all individuals, celebrating diversity, and creating a community where students, employees, family members, and members of our community feel welcomed, valued, and empowered. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education, the Toledo City School District, the board, that Section 1, the board formally recognizes June as Pride Month and reaffirms its commitment to providing all students a safe, inclusive, and supportive learning environment through its ongoing diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Section 2, the board will continue to oppose legislation and policies which attacks the LGBTQ plus community or seeks to undermine the contributions LGBTQ plus individuals have made to our society. Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effective immediately after its adoption and shall supersede any prior resolutions or acts of this board which may be inconsistent with the provisions of this resolution. And in Section 4, it is hereby found and determined that all former actions of this board concerning and relating to this passage of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any of its committees that resulted in such formal actions were in meetings open to public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Okay. I would like to have a motion,
So moved.
Second.
discussion.
Madam President, I'd just like to say that we have an ongoing duty to oppose the legislation that infringes on these rights. I don't understand why we have to keep doing this and why this is something that's ongoing. I mean, to me, it's just doing the right thing. If you read the first part of the resolution and read it again, is that we're committed to providing a safe, inclusive, and supporting learning environment for all students. That does not seem to be a difficult concept to me. So what that says to me is that when a student presents themselves to our doors in our district, in our schools, we have a commitment to provide them with the education that they deserve. It just boggles my mind that we have to be here every month and deal with encroachment upon local control. This is our district. That's why they created boards of education. And also, this resolution also points out that we are listening to our students. I often hear that we should provide what the students need or want, and this is what we are hearing from them. They want a quality education in a safe environment. So, of course, I support this resolution and just feel that it's too bad that we have to continually oppose legislation that infringes upon these rights.
Thank you. Board Member Barwick?
I think that we've passed resolutions in opposition to the continued culture war that the state legislators have continuously created. And I say that because your average citizen, they want to send their kids to school where they know it's safe, they know it's welcoming, they know they're loved, and it doesn't matter where they come from, who they are, what they believe. It doesn't matter. So we as adults on the Board of Education will continue to be student-centered and continue to pass resolutions that are in the best interest of all of our students. That's all.
Thank you, Board Member Gerken.
Although it is exhausting, I am happy to continue to put my voice to this type of a resolution, however many times it takes to make sure folks know that at Toledo Public Schools, we have every intention of being safe and inclusive for all students. All means all.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I think as it says with my other board members that we can't compromise who we are as a district in fostering that environment of support for all of our students. One of the things that's very important is, I've heard it through all of us, but we provide a safe, supportive, and equitable learning environment for all students. That's without negotiation. And people don't understand that selective equity is really not equity at all. So, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to take this time to thank my fellow board members, Dr. Durant, our staff, because when I was growing up and trying to understand who I was as a person and my identity as a young Black LGBT member, I didn't have those safe spaces to talk about it. I didn't have that welcoming environment, and I struggled. And that's why I live proud, out loud and proud, because I want other young individuals to know it's okay to be yourself. It's okay, and you can be loved, and you can be successful, and you can be proud. And I am so happy that that we will continue fighting to create spaces for all identities in our community, in our school district, because I know what it's like to feel alone, to be erased, and for our LGBT students of color, I know what it's like to fight racism and homophobia and transphobia, or I should say just bigotry and all. To be erased from two circles of the community is very hard. And so I am very happy that we have a district that is welcoming all our babies as they are, all our families in any capacity. If you're able-bodied or disabled, or if you are from the hood or the suburbs, we see you and we see your success. And that is why I'm so proud to have my children in this district, and also proud to represent this district everywhere I go, because I know the importance of our students to have a space to say that this is who I am, and I still matter, and have that room to be them how they want to be. And it's really it's I'm kind of getting emotional, but to get calls in the middle of the night of children who are experiencing homelessness, families who have no way to feed themselves, and get right on the phone and call Dr. Durant. And see our babies in a safe place. Y'all don't understand how scary it is. And reason why I kind of am raw, I just rescued a baby last week. And when I say baby, I mean one of our not our students, but a student who live in our community, um, who was sleeping outside. That baby didn't ask to be born, and that baby didn't ask to be gay, but he was homeless. And to see people jump in action to make sure that baby was safe, that's what this district does. Y'all don't know every story about kids harming themselves, but when they come to me, I call Dr. Durant and we make a plan. When our children need to take up space in a safe way, I call Dr. Durant. I could tell you stories after stories about how this man and this district have saved our youth just by listening, by seeing them as they are. And that's the importance of making resolutions, but actions behind them. That's the importance of saying we will not tolerate hate and bigotry. And I will not stop until all of our students feel they have a space in our schools, in our community, and in this world. So with all that, and me just breaking down, let's go ahead and move to a vote, please.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
and Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Ooh, okay. So now I'd like to move to our next session, a resolution opposition to House Bill 103. Ms. Board Member Gerken?
Sure, thank you. I'll read through this one for us. A resolution in opposition to House Bill 103 and the American Birthright Standards. Whereas the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District, the board, takes seriously its responsibility to ensure its students develop skills and knowledge to engage in a democracy and thrive in the real world. Whereas the board has outlined its educational philosophy in Board Policy 80A and believes that it should provide quality education fully and equally to all children to create an enlightened, intelligent, and effective foundation for citizenship. Whereas the district strives to teach students how to think and not what to think, ensuring students develop their own rigorous thinking about historical and current events. Whereas the district provides an education that celebrates the remarkable diversity of our country by sharing stories of individuals who contributed to our society, regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, language, socioeconomic status, citizenship status, and other backgrounds. Whereas the district is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion and established Board Policy AC, which ensures all students, regardless of their race, color, national origin, ancestry, citizenship status, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, economic status, age, disability, or military status, have equitable access to educational opportunities. Whereas Ohio law provides that each school district shall be the sole authority in determining and selecting textbooks, instructional materials, and academic curriculum, recognizing that local boards of education are in the best position to make educational decisions for their students. Whereas House Bill 103 has been introduced to the Ohio House of Representatives and referred to the Primary and Secondary Education Committee and would encroach on the district's authority. Whereas HB 103 would create a social studies standards task force of individuals appointed by the governor, the president of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who would develop statewide academic standards in social studies for grades K-12 based on standards published in American Birthright, the Civics Alliance Model K-12 Social Studies Standards. Whereas American Birthright seeks to deny our students the right to learn from the past, intending to censor, marginalize, exclude our diverse communities, including LGBTQ+ and people of color from history for political purposes. Whereas the National Council for Social Studies, NCCS, the largest professional organization devoted to social studies education in the United States, released a statement opposing American birthright. Whereas NCCS, which traditionally avoids commenting on state education policies, stated that these standards would have damaging and lasting effects on the civil knowledge of students and their capacity to engage in civil reasoning and deliberation. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District that the board, Section 1, reaffirms its opposition to House Bill 103 of the 135th General Assembly and opposes any legislation that threatens inclusivity and respect for diversity of its students. Section 2, the board opposes any legislation or academic standards that would undermine the trust developed between faculty, staff, and students. Section 3, the board opposes any legislation or academic standards that could diminish or erase the contributions of significant segments of our community. The board also opposes any measures that could prevent the objective and truthful teaching of our nation's history. Section 4, the treasurer is authorized to deliver or cause to be delivered a certified copy of this resolution to community leaders, to members of the Ohio House of Representatives and the Ohio Senate, and to the office of Governor Mike DeWine.
Thank you, Board Member Gergen. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Board Member Vasquez?
Madam President, this is just an extension of what we said before about the legislature encroaching upon the local control of our school districts. But, you know, one of the things I want to say is that my ethnicity, like many people here, you all have your own roots and background, but my ethnicity is Mexican. I'm a proud American. Here I am trying to give back to my community. My history of my whole family is a history of serving in the military, policemen, firemen, educators, doctors, contributing to our country. They all have stories, and they're important stories. And as all of you here, and I do, we have our stories. We learn from our stories, and we learn from each other's stories. I think the past is important. My stories are good stories. They're stories of opportunity, but I would say not always equally applied opportunity, but yet good stories. And I hope that we can always share our stories. We can share the past, and we can share the opportunities, and we can share the challenges with the younger generation, the people who come after us. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Barwick?
Yes. So I sigh because yet again, we are in opposition to another House bill that is presented by the state legislature. And I don't know if there will ever be a day in the state of Ohio that school board members across the state will actually be in unison with the state legislature on the benefits of making student-centered decisions, because I don't see it happening down in Columbus. I'm aggravated because this is government overreach. It is, American birthright is political ideology. You can Google it and you will find a laundry list of alt-right endorsements of the American birthright. I've spoken to numerous social studies teachers. All of them are opposed. They're Republicans, Democrats, Independents. They're all opposed to American birthright. Ohio law gives school boards the directive to instill a curriculum. We've done that. And now the Ohio legislators, and not all of them, just a select few, want to take local control away yet again. We're not in this district, we don't tell students what to think, how to think. We help them get to the point where they're learning on their own. Yes, our teachers are teaching, but the kids are making their own decisions about what has happened, what is going to happen. American birthright is the opposite of what is good in the social studies curriculum. And for the National Council for Social Studies to release a statement, which they never do, is saying something. So again, down in Columbus, this House and Senate are off the hook, off the chain, out of control, government overreach. I'm over it. Like, I'm so over it. And it should not be happening. Where are the adults making student-centered decisions and not focusing on political ideology? I guess we're going to continue to wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Durkin?
What could possibly go wrong? You got the governor, the president of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House appointing this social studies standards task force. What could possibly go wrong? Three political, highly political leaders who are all from the same party appointing this task force. What could possibly go wrong? The American Birthright Standards, as we've already mentioned, has been crafted by a national conservative coalition. They focus on American exceptionalism, which would naturally mean we don't get to focus on what went wrong, what we need to learn from, what mistakes we've made. It focuses on Christianity. What could possibly go wrong when you have a social studies curriculum that's tied to one specific religion, and it's not necessarily reflective of the population of young people who are learning in our country? What could possibly go wrong with the curriculum that actually de-emphasizes civic engagement and emphasizes military service and might? There's a place for all of these things in our learning, but it becomes so unbalanced that you see that what could go wrong here. This isn't just about taking control from local boards of education, which it very clearly is, but it is about indoctrination. It's about indoctrinating our young people to believe that there is something exceptional about the United States of America without taking into account the mistakes that were made, the oppression that continues to exist, without taking into account all of the history that keeps repeating itself. And if we don't teach young people at least the facts, the truth, and help them learn to critically think, and we're not teaching them what to think, we're teaching them how to think, how to make some decisions of their own. And so when they hand over control of the social studies curriculum to a single ultra conservative think tank, then we are going down a very slippery slope. What could possibly go wrong there?
Thank you. Mr. Vice President?
I'm just waiting for Rod Sterling to show up and tell us we're in the twilight zone. I think that it becomes mind draining to keep having to repeat the the foolishness that tries to erase the path that all of us came through, which may not be the same, but together we build a stronger community, a stronger culture, a stronger nation. They can ignore our past path, but they cannot erase it. And the reality is, it's our past of how we became that has taught us who we are and how we have become. And so I support this. And we just got to keep fighting, y'all. As rough as it is, we've got to keep fighting somehow. If nothing else, we just keep fighting for our students and letting them know there's somebody standing in the gap for them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna call this what it is. This is promoting white supremacy. You cannot tell me with this curriculum they would see anybody that is not of the ancestry of a cisgender heterosexual Christian, white, rich. And I don't mean like, yes, I have a job. I mean where you can get sick for a week and still pay all your bills, rich, male. When we're looking at this, this is not just about people of color or LGBT. This is about women's rights. This is about indigenous rights. And we can keep going on and on because they are erasing all of us. And so I think this is a call to action, and actually the alarm been all going off that we need to stick together and show solidarity. Because yeah, they're attacking the LGBTQ community currently, but somebody's going to be next. And then when they're done attacking that community, somebody's going to be next. And so one way to justify erasing a community is erasing their footprints. That's how it's always been done. If you are looking at history and how it's being taught to us, I'm being honest with you. Literally in high school, and I'm in the middle of age. I ain't gonna tell my age, but in the middle of high school, that's when I found out the truth of Christopher Columbus. For the whole time in my pretty much K through 12 education life, I was taught a lie. And many of us in this room and watching this was taught a lie. And even now, I'm learning about the Black Wall Street and details and things like that from docuseries. Even what we're learning and what we're able to teach is not really all the truth. And they want to erase the little bit of truth that we do teach. And it reminds me of a quote, and I'm going to add just a little bit. It says, "Those who are not taught the past are condemned to repeat it." And that's what's going to happen. We're going to start erasing people's rights. And then it's going to start to erase people's communities. And we can't allow that. We cannot have a future of nothingness. We fought too hard. And I mean, we as a people, we as a country, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, we fought too hard to get to where we are now. And I be damned that my child don't know any of history, the truth. So with that being said, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gherkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we'll go to section 10, which is our early childhood education items. Chair is Vice President Parker, co-chair is myself. I will now turn it over to Mr. Vice President.
This time I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Allen.
So we do have one item for approval today, and that is the East Toledo Family Center contract. It's our annual contract that we provide, that we partner with the East Toledo Family Center for providing care for young children.
So I'm sorry, you're supposed to make the motion.
I'd like to request a motion to approve the ETFC contract 7/1/23 to 6/30/24.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
and Mr. Parker.
Yes. Turn it back over to Madam President.
Thank you. Now I would like to take this time to celebrate a life, a beautiful light and warrior for our children. Nicole Hancock has now transitioned, and the work and determination to make sure our students get their healthy nutrition value, but it went beyond that. She cared because she really understood the whole child aspect. And I know she have touched many students' lives, their families, our staff, our board members, our cabinet members, in the community. She was very little, but she was very mighty. And I appreciate even the education tips she taught me about healthy eating and about taking care of my body and the importance of making sure I know what I eat. But it went beyond food. It was more of like a love language for her. And so I wanted to have this moment in celebration of her life and her memory. So I will open up for anyone of the board members or Dr. Durant, Mr. Gaffey, who would like to say a word.
The only thing that I would say is that Nicole's mother worked for me when I was in the district, Michelle Brown, and the discussions that I had with Michelle about her daughter and her pursuit of education and what that looks like, and the care that I know Michelle put into her work before she retired, and the love for her daughter for that, it just speaks well about the family and Nicole. And very sad for Michelle. I look forward to continue to discuss with her and to engage with her on it.
Yeah, no, Nikki had a great impact on early childhood. She was on the front line when it comes to kids and making sure that they were eating appropriately, as well as even some of the screening that she was providing. And those are the first barriers in regard to addressing the social emotional aspects of some of our kids. And she was on the front line each and every day, and even to her last breath, they were always on her mind and planning for her. So we appreciate the honor.
Thank you. I just want to say to Nikki's family, we are with you, and we are very sorry for your loss. So we'll now move to section 11 of the consent agenda, which is the early childhood education reports and minutes for the month. Committees meetings are provided for your information and reference. There's no action items required, so we can proceed to section 12. Do we have any walk-ins? Now we will move to section 13, which is our executive session. Excuse me. I would like to request a motion to enter executive session for conference with an attorney for a public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
and Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. From executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Treasurer, call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
and Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. And I would like to now request a motion to amend the agenda to reflect a walk-in.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Now we'll turn it over to Board Member Gerken.
I would like to move to authorize TPS's joinder of the Ohio Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding and other school districts as a party in litigation pertaining to violations of Ohio law by state officials.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. Now that brings us to section 14 through 16. Dr. Durant?
Yeah, just want to again thank everyone for graduation. Those were 11 straight marathons, but more than well worth it. Again, importance of the committee structure. Committee structure is effectiveness and it works. Today was a testimony of that with the CDL program that is being ignited here in Toledo, TPS, which will be one of very few that actually have a CDL program with internalized in their district. So not only will our graduates have CDL license at 18 years of age, but taxpayers will save $1 million each year merely because we had transferred from diesel to propane. And at the same time, again, employee recognition went great last week at Toll House, and so we appreciate all of those who served this district and served well. So again, thank you, and TPS proud.
Thank you, Dr. Durant. Ryan?
Okay, the first thing is, there's two packets for the two resolutions that were passed to proceed with the placing the renewal levies on the ballot. There is, the ballot language is in the back and then some other forms. So we're all set to go now, so we'll take those to the Board of Elections tomorrow or Thursday and get those filed, and then we'll be on the ballot here in November. And the budget process is going on. I'm not sure if you've heard, but Dr. D just forwarded us an email that the House voted to extend the current budget by 7 days till July 7th. So if they cannot work out their differences between now and Friday, they have another week to get it done. This is what I consider the scary time, because what usually happens is they will go into session, and at about 3 a.m. in the morning, they'll come out and they'll pass a budget bill, and there would have been no one there to question or comment or see what was in it. So we'll wait and see. See what happens there. And if we hear anything, we'll let you know.
Thank you, Ryan. Board Member Vasquez?
Madam President, Dr. Durant, what was the figure on that that we were saving the taxpayers?
$1 million.
$1 million. Okay, and that was because of the going to the propane buses and so on. And it doesn't include the employing our graduates and making sure they have jobs and they can provide for themselves and others that depend on them, and giving back to the community. So I think it's something for us to be really proud of. We try to continue to do that. That was a great time this morning, I think it was. Looking for big things to come out of that program. So thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Barwick?
Well, first of all, isn't it 1 million per year? Yeah, which is incredible. And I would just like to give a thank you to City Council for finally passing, for us to have this ability to provide to our community and to our students. This truly was a student-centered decision, and I'm excited what's to come. I am certainly hopeful that maybe the Blade will send a reporter to Columbus to keep a watch on the Senate and House. So that way we know, you might know before we do, what happens in the budget. So we'll be watching and waiting and reading. So please pass that along to your editors or those who are in charge of your budget to send you down to Columbus. We'd love to hear what's going on. I'd also like to just give a special recognition to Rick Lewis for his many years as the CEO for Ohio School Board Association. He was with them for about 39 years. And, I was part of or leading the charge in this effort to not only make sure that Rick was taken care of on his way in retirement from OSBA, but then also to hire our next CEO. And I'm really excited that Dr. Kathy McFarland was chosen and she accepted. And I'm thrilled to have her leading the way for Ohio School Board Association. So I'm looking forward to the great things that she's going to bring to the table. But I wanted to make sure that we recognized Rick. While I don't have a proclamation or resolution, I certainly would like to make sure that we do something for him. We can maybe send that off to him, a little thank you note or something, because of what he has brought to public education. I mean, 39 years is a long time, to be giving. So with that, just one more thing. Vouchers Hurt Ohio. Vouchers steal money from the taxpayers. At the end of the day, when you think of taxpayer dollars and you think of how they handle paying for police and fire and public schools, right? And you don't get to take a portion of your taxpayer dollars and go hire a security firm for your house or, private safety firm for your individualized person, nor should you get to take taxpayer dollars to pay a private institution for education for your child. I am all about school choice. I actually think that public schools offer the most and the truest school choice. If you look at the plethora of opportunities that we have just in our own district, I think that public schools are certainly the way to go. But I know that we're also accountable to the public with taxpayer dollars, and that's really important. Everything that we bring in, we're showing what we're doing with it. We're also trying to save taxpayer dollars, like the CDL program. So I just want to, as a reminder for those that are watching tonight, that vouchers, while it all sounds great, the whole school choice, efforts by certain folks down in Columbus, at the end of the day, it's taking dollars away from public schools. And it's not right. It's government overreach yet again. And there's no accountability when it goes to a private school. On top of that, just as a reminder, we have students yet again this year that were kicked out of their private school after 3.5 years in a private school, taking a voucher, kicked out, sent back to Toledo Public Schools, and they were not going to get to graduate. And I want to personally thank Tina Butts and the movement because they raised the dollars in the community to make sure that those fees and tuitions that those students owed, Central Catholic specifically, but the other schools as well, those students were able to graduate. And while that is wonderful for those particular families, I think about all of the families over the years that were not able to have a windfall of the community paying off those fines and fees and tuition, that were sold a bill of goods. You know what? At the end of the day, private schools are not better than public schools. They're not. They're not. And people in the community need to start realizing that public schools, specifically Toledo Public Schools, we offer the best choice. We have phenomenal staff in our district. Our students are amazing and they are not failures like the state would have you believe. So just as a reminder, vouchers hurt Ohio and they hurt Toledo Public Schools. They hurt our community and it's a theft of taxpayer dollars. Other than that, have a wonderful summer, everyone. Love our staff.
Thank you, Board Member Gerken.
I do hope that everyone has a nice summer. We do try to take a little bit of time off from our committees in July, and usually something comes up and we'll end up scheduling a board meeting anyway, because we need to continue getting the work done of the district, even though our committees are taking a bit of a break. I just want to say again to Dr. Allen to please give our best regards to your staff as they navigate this loss of your colleague, and ask for some grace and love for all of you, because I know that this is a big loss for all of you as well. And let's have a good July, and I'll see most of you very soon.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
It is my hope also that you all will have a good summer, take a little break. By the time you blink, you'll be back in school again, getting started. Dr. Allen, please offer our prayers and condolences to not just Nikki's family, but also to your staff as well. Last week, we celebrated the federal holiday of Juneteenth, and all the events that I participated in and was a part of, I was TPS proud. Last Monday to celebrate the Kings of Kwanzaa, and our own Dr. Durant received an award. So I want to salute and celebrate you. All the awards you always get is a testament of your dedication and commitment to not just our district, but our community. So thank you for all that you do, sir.
Thank you. I would just want to say, remember, rest is revolutionary. As we continue to keep fighting for justice and equity, remember that you have to take care of self-care, and it's okay to take a nap. It's okay to step away. And to remember that pride started as a riot against injustice, and sometimes it's really good to get into good trouble. With that being said, I would like to request a motion to move to adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Thank you and have a good evening.
Oh,
Look, I'm ready to go. Treasurer Calderon.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
Mrs. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
yes.
Okay, now have a good evening.